Caleb O'Donnell here, aka Rugby Playing Gypsy. Oof. Kia ora whanau. This video is actually dedicated to a man called Dave Thompson. He's asked me to put a few words together about my experiences as a rugby player and about some of the mental health struggles I went through, just general struggles in life that I went through playing footy, playing a bit of rugby. Started a great initiative. I think it's a great idea. The initiative is called In the Sheds. So man on the field, human off it. I think it's a great initiative. It's geared towards mental health and rugby players, if you can believe it. I thought, what a great idea to start this and really get the ball running, get people talking, get everyone's ideas on it. And I think most of the things that he's spoken about to me is about the stigma, breaking the stigma of being a tough man. You've got to man up, you've always got to do the job, things have to get done. You know, that's an old stigma. It's especially strong and rooted in New Zealand, in Kiwi blokes. This whole mentality of being tough and got to be the man, got to fucking man up, all that stuff. You know, it's an old, outdated stereotype, really. We don't need to carry anymore. We don't need to pass on to the next generation. You know, manning up and carrying on, you know, sometimes it's just not the answer. And I know what those tough Kiwi blokes out there are saying now, oh fuck, this cunt's all shit. But really, it's not about that. It's about helping the next generation and about giving more pathways and giving them support in different ways where they can feel comfortable to be able to express themselves, because the whole man up attitude, the Kiwi bloke tough mental attitude, the tall poppy syndrome, chopping people down if they speak, if they get too much above you, this culture of one-upping is just not helping anybody, especially in the rugby world. You're seen on the field as this elite athlete, is this strong Kiwi man, but a lot of the boys off the field, they're not feeling like that all the time. And I guess I'm starting to speak out now, and I know there's a lot of others that want to speak out and tell their truth, and there are a lot of people that are. It's got to be spoken about. If there's an issue, you've got to address that issue. That's what I believe anyway. The one thing above all, you've always got to tell the truth, be honest with yourself, tell the truth, and if it sits well with you, you've got to deliver the message. So here I am delivering messages. So back to In the Shed. I guess a lot of my mental health, around that elite performance environment, where you're feeling pressure every day to perform. You're feeling pressure from the coaches, you're feeling pressure from other players, you're feeling pressure from your mates, from your family, but most of all, you're feeling pressure from yourself, and you're putting everyone's expectations on you. And sometimes we can get caught in this rut where we are just, we're getting bashed down, but we just keep going, we keep going. And you can only keep going so far. Once you reach that stage, there's nowhere else to go. The only way to go is back down, come back down to earth, 10 toes on the ground. Mental health in rugby players, I think it's pretty bad at the moment, especially in the elite stuff, especially in the stuff where they're getting the moolah, where they're getting paid, where they're getting a bit of coin, because their whole identity is wrapped around it. Their whole identity is Mr. Rugby Man. They are, the tough Kiwi bloke that has to carry on and perform. You can be in mental health states all your life, up and down. But once you reach the end of the rugby, it is a big slope down. And, not for everyone. But if a couple of things fall over here, a couple of things fall over on this side, it can be detrimental to people. I'm lucky I survived my mental health, very lucky. It turned into, I had to endure every day for a couple of years there, and it was enduring, it was suffering. And some people, they look at the mental health stuff and, oh cool, he's got a bit of a holiday from work, he can chill out and do whatever. But that's not the case at all. Constant battle, constant grind, it's relentless. There's no stopping it. There's no break from it. There's no peace. All I could do was wake up every day and just walk these pathways, walk down the river. Couldn't see people. There's got to be a solution. There's got to be answers. There's got to be a way forward that doesn't have to lead to this, or it doesn't have to lead to, I guess, feeling like you might have to die, you might have to be dead. So yeah, this initiative is great. I think it's a good idea, Dave, and I think you're doing a wonderful job. No, and I think if you're looking at environments, I guess, are going to lead to people having mental health. An elite sports environment, probably not the tahi. It's pressure. You're making the grade, you're not making the grade, you're making the grade, you're not making the grade. Outside opinions, you know, you getting caught in your own head about your own opinions about things. You never getting told why you're not quite good enough, why you couldn't make it, even though you have the goods, you've proven the goods, and you're performing off the field. You know, you're performing in the gym, you're performing at training, performing everything they're telling you to do, but yet you can't make the team. And I find it's a hard thing, because you're good enough and then you're not. And it's all down to judgment of coaches. It's all down to judgment of those people at the top that think, you know, do I like this guy? Don't I like this guy? You know, it's down to a perception of others. Whether this guy blends in with the team, if he doesn't blend in with the team, does he get along with these personalities? Does he get along with this player profile? Does he suit the game plan that we're going to have? And as a young player, you don't know these things. You just think, oh, you know, I'm good enough to be on the team. Why aren't I? And then you spend over a decade. They battered you down at the start after a couple of years and said you're not good enough for that. So you just keep going and going. You reach the top level and then you get smacked down again, and then you have to get to the place above that place where they said that you weren't good enough for that, and then you get smacked down again. One of the hardest things I had to come to acceptance of was that you're actually a commodity. You're useful till you're not. I found that at Super Rugby. You know, you get to the Super Rugby stage, you think, you know, it's clear sailing from here. You know, I'm established. I've been a Mitre 10 Cup player for years now. You know, I'm finally in the super team, and you know, I'm going to get contracts. People are going to ask me for contracts, you know, around New Zealand, around Mitre 10 Cup teams. And then I'm coming to that time of the year where you're around March, April, I think, if I remember well, and I'm down in Wellington. I'm talking on the blower to some of the Taranaki coaches and the organisation, and then they're saying, oh, you know, we might contract you, we don't know yet, you know, we don't know if we want you yet. And I'm just going, hold on, bro, I'm at Super Rugby level now. I thought, you know, you just keep going on from here, and it becomes easier, and you're going to get selected. And you know, I'm performing, I'm down here training hard every day. What do you want from me? But that's the main thing, is, you know, your effort, you're not going to get rewarded for effort. You're not going to get rewarded for all the little things you're doing. You don't reap the benefits of it all. And you know, you can go unseen. You know, being unseen is it's a horrible feeling when you're not listened to, when the hard work you're doing, you're not being seen. You know, one of the hardest things in Taranaki when I was about 31, you know, training hard, the coach said it was, you know, between you and this other guy. I'd relocated to Taranaki just off a hope and a dream, because I was, you know, coming of age. I was going to have another baby, and 30 years old, you know, I want my son to be proud of me. You know, I've already got a son over in Australia, and you know, I've got to do something here. I want to get back on the rugby train, maybe get back to super level. You know, anything's possible. So I started training hard again, and moved to Taranaki without a promise, with just a hope and a dream, back slaving at some job that I never really liked. You know, doing the trainings in the morning, in the afternoon, and then at night time, and gets to the season and I'm not even picked in the team, and I'm there training with the team. I'm getting paid, but it's, you know, it's not the same. When you've been there, done that before, you're just like, oh shit, man, I should have been just doing a job. And you know, the promises that are promised to you, they're not fulfilled. They're not fulfilled. And you know, the coach said it was down to me and this other guy, and at the end of the day, he had some other guy waiting in the flanks. It jumped over us both, and it was like, holy shit, be between you and this other guy. Then at the end of the day, he done whatever he wanted to anyway, and picked some other guy. And it was just like, wow, okay, sitting here at 31 years old, what am I up to? Whole stereotype thing, the whole tough Kiwi man bloke, carry on, keep going, be a tough cunt, bro, out the gate. We don't need that anymore. We don't need to put pressure on people. It's okay to speak, it's okay to talk, and it's okay to share. A lot of people don't share because they're feeling a bit whakama, they're a bit shy, they feel like it's a bit cringe. But that's not what it's about at all, you know. It's not about being cringe. It's about trying to help people and actually being a genuine, decent human being, sharing your wisdom and your knowledge and passing it down, sharing it to those younger guys so that they don't have to face the same struggles that you're going through, especially those old stereotypes, those Kiwi bloke stereotypes, the tall poppy syndrome we have that's really bad. We need to just fucking drop all that shit. It's about aroha, it's about passing a tonga, passing a treasure to our younger ones, that they don't have to do it hard, they don't have to slog away, they don't have to keep going, they can rest and recover. You're always here to support them unconditionally. Yeah, and I just want to speak a little bit about this commodity thing, especially in the rugby world. You're just used, you're used and you're used, you're good enough until you're not. And that's hard to deal with in any job. Year after year after year after year, you have to prove yourself of why you should be there, and that's just the way that it is. I'm not saying that it's not the way that it should be, but it's just the way that it is. What I'm saying is we need to come up with solutions to help these guys mentally, not have a big downfall because of the way that they've been treated mentally, which is you're relevant until you're not to us. You are family. You know, it's preached to all the rugby. You know, rugby community is huge on family, whānau vibes, and we are your family, and be proud to be in our team, and we're here to support you. This is your family. And then it's not. And then once you get dropped, you are never, ever, ever part of that team again until you're playing for them again. You don't have any ties there. You don't have any affiliations. You cannot just walk in there, be part of the team again, share your wisdom and your knowledge. You are just irrelevant. You're gone. You're dead. You're dead to them. You know, you can talk around that, but it's just the truth. It's just what it is. You don't know that you're going through this. You don't know that these things are happening mentally. You just think, oh fuck, you know, what's happening? Why am I feeling a bit, you know, depressed? The fact of the matter is you can live with depression for a decade and not even know it. Which I think maybe I did, you know, maybe the high performance environments weren't good for me. But maybe it's just me, but I don't know. I've spoken to a few boys and a few rugby lads, and they've struggled, and you know, with or without rugby, I don't know if they would have without it. You know, I don't know if they had a normal job that they went to and they didn't have the pressure of the world on their shoulders. I'm not too sure, but you know, these are tough men. You know, I'm a very mentally strong person, always have been, and for me to be able to get through what I got through and find it hard and difficult, oof, like I am very, very driven, very strong, and to get through that the way that I did, I know that, you know, if there was somebody who wasn't as strong, you know, who couldn't withstand the suffering that I withstood, it's going to be difficult for them to survive. So yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important. So get around it. Thank you, Dave, for the message. Cheer, my bro. I think you're doing wonderful work, and I think this is much needed for us Kiwi blokes. You know, it's hard enough to be a man. It's hard enough to be a man, let alone be a man in New Zealand, Aotearoa. It's fucking difficult. You know, you're put up on a pedestal, and you've got to be this great leader and this carrier of the whānau and this provider, and you've got to get these wonderful jobs and all of this money and provide for your family. That's what you must do. You've got to get a house, you've got to get cars, you've got to get this, that and the other. It's tough, bro. It's a tough world out there, and you know, the economy is going down, and you know, there's not jobs anymore, and the cost of living's gone right up. You know, you go to the grocery store and you're spending $100 on a couple of loaves of bread and some milk and a few eggs. So the pressure's gone up even more, and there's not very many spots out there that you can sort of weave into. So you got to ground yourself early. You got to ground yourself as you're a teenager. So that's just my 2 cents. Thank you very much, whānau. Rugby Playing Gypsy teaming up with In the Sheds. Man on the field, human off it. Kia ora. Kia ora whānau. Thank you.